In our lineup today, here on The Now, teen clothing stores are the latest place to get in on the CBD trend. And these type of sales, they are expected to keep growing. So we're taking a look into the efforts of regulating CBD and where they stand right now. The recent earthquakes in Southern California are bringing up some big questions about not really if, but when the next big one could happen. We're getting answers from seismologists and seeing just how people are preparing. And we're taking a look at specially designed co-working spaces for women. Well, we're talking to them about how they say it's helping advance their careers and businesses.
Thanks, Chris. This is The Now Indy on RTV6. I'm Amanda Starantino. Minutes matter in an emergency, and IU Health Lifeline is here in the event you or your child ever is a patient in critical condition. After 40 years of serving the community, our Aaron Lish shows us how this crew helped one boy become the teen he is today.
For 15-year-old Trey Edens, this IU Health Lifeline chopper is more than just a helicopter. It's a lifesaver.
I would not be here, and I would probably have died because of the problems that I was having.
As a baby, fluid was filling in one of his lungs, pushing against his heart, and he needed immediate surgery. His father held his breath when he heard a helicopter was on the way.
Definitely, if it wasn't for them, the outcome probably wouldn't be what it is today.
He was taken by Lifeline from Anderson to Riley. Trey is just one of thousands across Indiana and parts of Ohio and Illinois that are transported by this crew to get critical care.
Our role is to show up when maybe some of hope is a bit lost or a bit low.
Once a call comes in, it takes at most 10 minutes to get a chopper up.
We have the privilege of coming to provide a high level of care and also ultimately bring those patients to what may be their only chance of survival.
Along with the helicopter fleet, they use mobile intensive care units.
I know that it's the best of the best that's going and on their way to help those people.
With everything that Lifeline did for Trey, he's grateful, and he's now an EMS certified responder and a cadet in training with his local fire department.
I can always be able to thank them for allowing me to be here and today and overcome the problems that I did have.
40 years of being a true lifeline, bridging the care for patients in need like Trey. Aaron Lish, RTV6.
Thanks, Aaron. And we have a coverage map of how long it may take for a Lifeline chopper to reach you, depending on where you are in the state. We have it on this story through the RTV6 app and the IndyChannel.com. Kevin.
Let's look north. That's where the breeze is coming from, and it's been strong today at times, 10 to 20 miles per hour. You can see some shadows there. The shadows are from cumulus clouds that will just fade away as we go through the evening hours. Once the sun sets, skies will clear. We've been 1 degree warmer than this today. Our official high so far 88. There's that west wind at 18 in Indy, otherwise north and northwest, and temperatures in Kokomo in the low 80s right now. North wind in Lafayette, cooler breeze for all, and that's driven down not just the temperature but the humidity level as well. That gives you a little more energy. Yesterday is the kind of day where you just walk out and it hit you right in the face. Skies will be clear by 11 o'clock tonight. Temperature in the low 70s. Will manage a 60-degree temperature in many spots first thing in the morning, if not a little bit cooler, as you can see. Cooler temperature should be north and northwest of Indianapolis. How long can we hold on to some comfortable temperatures? Find out coming up.
Let's start the Now news feed. Former baseball star David Ortiz has undergone his third surgery after being shot in the Dominican Republic. He had some complications from his injuries, but the Boston Red Sox did release a statement saying that Ortiz is in good spirits and recovering. A new study says cutting down the hours that doctors in training work did not harm patients. There's now an 80-hour-a-work week cap for residents. There's some extra paperwork, some academic conferences that were cut down. Experts do think as AI plays a bigger role in hospitals, those hours those trainees work could be cut down even more. Amazon wants to help its employees learn how to do their jobs with robots. The company says it plans to spend $700 million to retrain a third of its U.S. workforce. It expects to retrain 100,000 workers by 2025. The least amount of people are smoking cigarettes now than ever. That is since the CDC started tracking numbers in 1965. Still, around 47 million people use some form of tobacco. Smoking is still the leading cause of preventable disease and death in the United States. But take a look at this. Now, that's a lab-grown tobacco plant on the right compared to, on the left, you see a traditional wild tobacco plant. German scientists used gene editing to grow a plant with significantly less nicotine. Nicotine, as we know, the addictive part of that plant. The amount is so low that it is nearly non-existent. The FDA is considering a change that would require tobacco products to have lower nicotine levels. Smokers want that as well. 8 in 10 say that they are in favor of lower nicotine levels in all tobacco products so they are not as addictive. And while the government and scientists are doing their part to combat smoking, experts say some institutions could do more. Only about 1 in 6 U.S. colleges and universities have established smoke-free campuses. Research in the journal Tobacco Control found that these policies help prevent young people from smoking, as well as having secondhand smoke issues. A plan the government said would cut the price of prescription drugs for us isn't happening anymore. The Trump administration is dropping its proposal. It would have banned drug makers from giving rebates to pharmacy benefit managers and insurers involved with Medicare. Instead, drug companies would have been encouraged to pass on those discounts directly to us at the pharmacy, but the proposal was expected to increase Medicare premiums as well. All right, back to our lineup. In CBD, it has become so popular that it is now even showing up in teen clothing stores. But there is still the big question of whether it's safe. And next in our lineup, we're taking a look into where efforts to regulate it stand right now.
Let's try it. Fast foodies know the deal.
Let's start the Now News feed, and today we are remembering the actress who played an iconic character in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Denise Nickerson played that gum-chewing Violet in the movie. Well, her family says that she passed away from complications of seizures and stroke. She was 62 years old. Apple is disabling its watch's walkie-talkie feature until it can fix a bug. Now, that flaw allowed people to use their watch to listen into conversations through another person's iPhone. Now, you may remember a similar bug in January let people use FaceTime to listen in on someone else's iPhone. Robots are making their way into baseball. Last night, a minor league all-star game in Pennsylvania let a computer call balls and strikes. The human umpire wore an earpiece connected to an iPhone that was connected to a sensor that determined whether the ball went over the plate. The system did miss a couple of calls, and the ump would be able to override any call that the computer missed. A lot of companies are jumping on the CBD train these days. CBD is the ingredient that's found in marijuana that does not get you high. And now even teen clothing stores are joining this trend. Amy Taylor showing us what's next when it comes to these products.
American Eagle is the latest store to start offering CBD products. Now, this comes just after Abercrombie & Fitch pulled the same move. American Eagle plans to sell body care products like balms and lotions in October. Abercrombie sells the same type of products already. Now, the cannabis research group Brightfield says CBD sales are only expected to grow, and part of it's due to the new Farm Bill that legalizes hemp. And despite the fact that CBD doesn't get people high, the FDA and others are concerned about the fact that these products are being marketed to teens. The FDA is now wanting to look into the safety and marketing of CBD. It says more research is still needed and that people should be careful before using CBD. The FDA is taking comments on concerns about the ingredients until Tuesday.
All right, Andy, thank you. Let's get back to our lineup here on the Now. And the recent earthquakes in Southern California are bringing up some big questions about not if, but when the next big one could happen. We're getting answers from seismologists and just seeing how people are preparing.
RTV6 is working for you.
Student loan debt is so out of control that people are willing to look pretty much anywhere to lower their payments. But you do need to be careful with who is offering these services. The FTC just busting a huge scheme. The FTC says that the people running Mission Hills Federal and Federal Direct Group are accused of taking more than $23 million from thousands of customers. The agency says they had the people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in illegal upfront fees. And they're also accused of making false claims that would service and pay down their monthly student loan payments. So here are the big takeaways for you. The FTC says anyone asking for upfront fees to help with this debt is likely a scammer. Also, don't share your FSA ID with anybody. That's the username and password that you use to log into the U.S. Department of Education websites. Now, you can also apply for loan deferment or repayment programs directly through the Department of Education or their loan servicer for free. When you go to the doctor for a problem, you hope they can tell you what's wrong. But delayed or wrong medical diagnoses are expensive and they can be deadly. It is the #1 cause of serious harms among medical errors. Now, new research by Johns Hopkins University found about 1/3 of malpractice cases that led to death or permanent disability stem from an inaccurate or delayed diagnosis. The most frequent involve infections, cancers, and blood or heart issues. The study's lead author told us that patients should make sure they have the specifics when they go to the doctor.
Beforehand, they need to come prepared. So they should prepare a short written summary of their symptoms and problems and the timeline of events so that the doctor can spend the time in the encounter with them figuring out what's causing those symptoms or problems rather than just gathering data.
Dr. David Newman-Toker says at the doctor's visit, you should ask questions like, what's the worst this could be and why isn't it that? And don't be afraid to get a second opinion and stay open to the idea that your diagnosis may not be right, so make sure that you follow up during treatment as well. Stroke, sepsis, and lung cancer were the most common misdiagnoses. Serious issues surrounding some breast implants has some doctors taking action on their own. There's a prominent South Florida plastic surgeon that says he won't do breast enhancement surgeries at least until the FDA and scientists have more answers. This year, women testified to the FDA about breast implant related cancer and other issues, and they want more transparency and restrictions. The FDA recently required more reporting of breast implant related illnesses.
Thank you, Chris. Working for you and getting results. Extremely busy intersections near Castleton Square Mall now have working pedestrian crosswalk signals after our report a month ago showed some had not been working, creating a dangerous situation for walkers. In June, we counted 6 intersections along 82nd Street near Castleton from Ivy Knoll to Bass Street where the signals were not working. And earlier this year, a 24-year-old man was killed walking near 82nd Street in Castleton Square Mall. The crosswalk signal was not working there either. So RTV6 took this issue to DPW. Fast forward to today, we found the crosswalk signals are working again, including at 82nd Street near the mall entrance, a very congested area.
Yesterday at this time, thunderstorms were rapidly developing in that incredible heat and humidity. Today, just some fair weather cumulus clouds around, much more enjoyable. That said, it's still warm and it's still on the humid side. Shade's a good thing to find. Comfortable night ahead, though. Temperatures will cool into the upper 50s and low 60s. Not just tonight, but I think into Saturday morning it will still be comfortable. Then the overnight lows will start to warm up as well. Sunshine tomorrow, dry. As we get to the warmer weekend, there'll be a slight chance of a thunderstorm as we get to Sunday. Here are the numbers. To Lafayette's at 83, comfortable temperature down in Bloomington, too, in Monroe County. One of the spots that had some heavy rain yesterday. It was localized, but there were spots that had 2 to 4 inches of rain yesterday. A lot of us didn't have any rain, and there's not much in the forecast until the middle of next week. That sticks out. Crawfordsville's at 79. It's 82 in Greencastle. Indy right now at 87. This cooler, drier air slowly feeding in from the north-northwest. These are the temperatures that we plan on in the morning tomorrow. Give us a little start that's comfortable, and we'll warm up from there, but not too much. By the time we get to the afternoon, 85 degrees. Humidity still comfortable. The wind out of the north at about 5 miles per hour. Other temperatures through the afternoon warm into the mid-80s to the south as well. Maybe a touch warmer as you get to Bedford and Seymour. 4-day forecast. There are some changes as we move into the weekend. Those are unveiled shortly.
Last week's earthquakes in Southern California were a wake-up call, but experts don't believe the ruptures significantly increased the chance of a catastrophic earthquake. Yet, they do highlight the fact that seismologists believe the next big one could happen, and soon. Chris Welch with the story.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
If there was anything to take away from the damage and the chaos of last week's earthquakes, it's this. They reminded Californians that a catastrophic event, the big one, as it's called, isn't a question of if, but when.
You will experience an earthquake, and we need to be prepared for the big one.
Anne-Marie Balte is a seismologist with the U.S. Geological Survey. She and her colleagues believe that in the San Francisco metropolitan area, there's a 72% chance of a magnitude 6.7 or higher quake between now and the year 2043.
A scenario depicting what might happen.
In fact, they're so sure the big one is coming, they've put together this scenario in which a hypothetical 7.0 earthquake strikes a densely populated city.
With an epicenter at Oakland, the rupture races 52 miles.
Balte says their goal is not to scare people, but encourage residents to be prepared.
From a statistical point of view, one is going to happen soon.
Marlene Nist is an earthquake modeler at a company called RMS that assesses risk for the purposes of insurance pricing.
My own social circles, people are usually aware that there's earthquake risk. But when you tell them that they should be really worried about it, they're like, oh yeah, really? Really? Oh, okay. Cities may be preparing for it. I think in general, the general public is not so aware of the problems.
Is San Francisco ready?
It's a $1 million question, when there's a hit.
Tom Huey is director of San Francisco's Department of Building Inspections. He says he's not concerned with the newer skyscrapers. Those, for the most part, have been designed to withstand a large quake.
The older building may be worried a little bit, like the old steel building with masonry infill. Those are more vulnerable.
And there's a particular aspect of many older buildings that he and the city have decided to do something about.
The most vulnerable is the ground floor, what we call soft story.
A soft story building is a structure where the first floor, often a garage, has very few, if any, supporting walls or beams, meaning the floors above are at a much higher risk of collapsing.
So these are the 4 strong walls that we'll be building for this particular garage. So this section of this garage will be secured.
The city has mandated that thousands of the most vulnerable structures be retrofitted so these soft stories are reinforced. And they're handing out emergency preparedness kits, spreading the word about the big one. Will it look something like Hollywood's San Andreas? Experts say likely not. But just like the earthquake from last week, Balte says even fiction like that provides a service.
There were some really good messages that came out of that. So, I mean, the one thing is just it got people thinking about earthquakes.
Reporting in San Francisco, I'm Chris Welch.
All right, very interesting, Chris. Thank you. Let's get back to our lineup here on The Now. And co-working spaces are pretty popular, but now they're starting to be designed with women in mind.
This space just had such a different vibe for being able to come in here, be surrounded by amazing women doing amazing things in the world.
The impact that's having to help women collaborate and advance their careers.